When Konami first teased Fox Hunt, people thought it might be the revival of something familiar, maybe the rebirth of Metal Gear Online, or known as MGO. As we know, Metal Gear Solid Delta has been somewhat faithful, in fact, very faithful in terms of its story mode and, whilst enhancing the gameplay and so forth, but the online function doesn't seem to be the case. The tactical playground where every ability and every perk and even every weapon all had some unique function. Fox Hunt essentially strips that away entirely. Instead of having weapons, for example, that we can upgrade and put, attachments to, this time we have to procure them on site, which is not a bad idea. In terms of a game mode, it sounds pretty good. Fox Hunt in itself is somewhat of an innovative idea that could have been its own game mode separate from the original MGO. It's quite disappointing to see that you can't even upgrade your weapons like we could do on MGO 3. I get MGO 2 was limited and it was based around how many kills you got to unlock better weapons in your playthrough, but you still had skills that could make those weapons a lot better, whether it was assault rifles, pistols and snipers, and you could even add attachments to them depending on how many points you've gained in-game. Fox Hunt completely removes the identity of MGO that made it truly unique and separate from most modern games. In areas, it feels like it closely resembles PUBG and games like Fortnite in many aspects, rather than having that complete unique element that made it MGO. Yes, there's still little elements that are sprinkled on top with the goofy little Metal Gear logic, but the main fundamentals have been completely stripped. I think a lot of us MGO fans were really hoping in this latest showcase that aside from Fox Hunt, they were going to demonstrate something that closely resembled the original we was used to, but that didn't seem to be the case whatsoever. It feels like Metal Gear's name doesn't understand the language it used to speak. Gone are the deep class systems where we could level out our abilities and choose our classes in different ways, making each player unique. The specialised perks, the skill trees that give the players the identity. In Fox Hunt, you don't earn mastery, you typically just loot it. Weapons are found out on the field rather than built through progression, and your skill isn't developed over time. It's replaced by randomised experience points and surprise boxes and cosmetic rewards, camos and skins and just flashy bullshit meant to fill the absence of true growth and layers that MGO often give us. It's not that this isn't going to be a fun experience, I just can't see any longevity being made with it because there's no incentive to do so. The other Metal Gear Online games gave players the incentive to build their characters, whereas now everyone is practically just the same and the only thing that's different is skins that you can all wear anyway. I mean, yes, there is special characters you can use, but albeit you have more of them to choose from. MGO 1 gives us a limited selection, but Fox Hunt kind of expands on the characters we can use, which is really cool. However, there isn't really anything special you can do with these characters as far as I'm aware. They all share the same, generic abilities as your classic soldiers. And, well, you probably want to know about the game modes. One word: limited. Instead of classic team deathmatches or the legendary sneaking missions that once defined MGO, we're left with only 2 new survival-based phases, and I can see this getting boring quite fast. So for example, Survival Capture, as we see, is a multi-phase scavenger hunt where players chase down carrots and frogs across shrinking zones, a concept that feels more like a Fortnite experiment than in a Metal Gear operation. And Survival Intrude, where teams fight to secure and hold zones that collapse as the match goes on, pushing everyone into tighter and more chaotic spaces. It's tense, sure, but it's missing that psychological layer and these in-depth character play modes that we had before. As a separate mode, Fox Hunt would work perfectly fine. I kind of feel like it goes against Konami's statements of trying to remain faithful to what Metal Gear Solid 3 brought all them years back. I mean, Fox Hunt isn't a bad game by any means. The idea of procuring weapons on site was something I really liked, and it's cool how you can pick up and drop weapons whenever you choose by smashing open boxes and so forth. And the weapons themselves are not really a bad selection. They're not exactly historically accurate, but MGS5 weapons in themselves were pretty useful. Personally, I don't understand why Konami, whilst in development of making MGS Delta, didn't consider putting Delta into format with a multiplayer team that could have worked on it way before they did, because it's clear that they was behind schedule with this, hence why it's coming out after the fact rather than actually being ported with the game itself. It's unclear Konami's intentions for why they made it so delayed rather than placing it in development at the same time as working on the solo single player aspect of it all. To put it clearly, Fox Hunt completely strips away layers that made MGO so special to begin with. It feels like it loses its identity in a way, because everything that could have been built on and expanded is already there, but they've just removed the previous blueprints that could have really lifted this online experience into something greater. I mean, it's still going to be fun to play, no doubt, and it's yet to come out, and who knows maybe what may lie beyond what they showed us. I could be wrong, but you'll have to forgive me because most of the showcase was Japanese, so obviously I couldn't understand what was saying and there was no clear translation. But given on what I could see rather than hear, it looked like to me there was some SOP system like before, where you can actually see your own friendlies as well as enemies, depending if you've interrogated them. There's one particular point where you can actually see one of the enemy soldiers situated above the watchtower. So function like just before will most likely be retained, where you'd interrogate an enemy soldier and it would reveal their teammates to the opposing team and so forth. It's definitely fair to say that it's going to lack character, especially on the individual level, and that's what made MGO so special and how we all could connect, is that each different person had a different playstyle and abilities they selected from, including a dress sense, if you will. You could literally dress your character however you choose, whereas now you only get a limited option. It's not going to be a terrible game by any means, but to call it a great online experience when looking back at the other ones that came out years before, it really doesn't have a patch on the older MGO games. I mean, there's going to be people out there saying, why am I complaining and shut up? But at the same time, why do you have such low standards? Because it's quite clear to see this game doesn't offer anything really great like the originals did. We have less maps, we have no skills, no gun perks, and everything's completely limited. But I want to hold fire on this automatic rifle without making too much damage, because they might have only showcased so much, and there might be a lot more to uncover when the official game comes out. Honestly, I wish there was so much more I could tell you about what was showcased than really what you already know anyway. To me, it really felt like they could have capitalized on the best of each MGO experience and combined it into one. And of course there's gonna be the defenders in the comment section typing furiously like Konami's unpaid PR interns. Bro, you just don't get it, you know, they've completely reworked the game, they couldn't possibly make the old functions work. Right, because clearly in the year 2025 it's just too technologically advanced to include a perk system that can't possibly let players have loadout variety or skill progression. That would break the sacred new code of run, loot, shoot and repeat. It's funny how the word not possible is often used by those who live in the comment section for a living. Always translate to really that we just didn't bother. Because when something truly matters to the game's identity, when a developer actually cares, not possible becomes a challenge, not an excuse. And they really showcased that with the single player aspect. Fox Hunt launches on October the 30th, and honestly, I'm curious. Will you be playing it? Do you see potential here, or does it just feel like another case of Konami using Metal Gear's name to sell something that doesn't ultimately carry its DNA? Because there's no doubt the older team didn't work on it. They've got a new, younger team working on Delta. And I feel like that's the problem, because there should have been someone there overseeing them, making sure that it contained everything special. Because right now, it feels less like a tactical evolution and more like an identity crisis wrapped in a battle royale skin because of a new generation who are ultimately used to playing those trash games. But I'll hold full judgment until release. I'll be diving into myself to make a comprehensive review, breaking down whenever Fox Hunt can stand out on its own, or if it's just another hollow echo of what Metal Gear Online used to be. Until then, stay sharp, and until we meet again, see ya.